Hey, friends, welcome back to the Called to Lead podcast. So, I'm really excited to continue the conversation we've been chatting about on the last couple of episodes, all about creating passive income or leveraged income or residual income, whatever you want to call it, in your business. So, you might want to go catch up on episodes 85 and 86 if you're curious to know if you are creating already passive income within your personal business. Your personal network marketing business, meaning selling your product and sharing it with friends and family, and maybe selling it or sharing it online, and also your team. And those are also great resources if you're looking to grow the passive income side of both of those businesses. But in today's episode, we're going to chat about kind of a tricky topic that I don't think gets talked about enough inside the network marketing industry, though it's definitely becoming a bit of a, prevalent situation, if you will. And that is adding an additional passive income stream. So that might be joining an additional network marketing company as an affiliate, or it might be trying out a different platform, or you might be listening to my podcast, or you might be interested in maybe becoming a coach or developing a course. But ultimately, there are ways that you can create additional passive income that can support your existing business and also create an additional revenue stream for yourself. So in today's episode, I'm going to be sharing my very strong feelings, but maybe some kind of tough love with you for how to know when you are ready to bring on that additional income stream, and one of the biggest mistakes that you can make if you're not ready yet. So buckle up, let's dive into hopefully what'll be a short but sweet episode and very shareable. So let's dive into today's episode. All right, in case you're like me and you're ready to just dive into this particular episode rather than going back and listening to episodes 85 and 86, where I outline a little bit more of what exactly passive or leveraged or residual income is, I'll just quickly summarize it here for you so that we can get into the meat of today's episode. So essentially, the big difference between passive income versus active income is passive, residual, or leveraged income is something that it's income that you get on the back end for your time, your work, and effort that you've put in on the front end. And usually that does take a lot of time. Almost always that takes years of dedication, years of time, hard work, all of the things in order to get to that level in any business model. And network marketing, despite what you might hear from people who try to present it as some sort of get rich quick scheme, or despite that shiny influencer who might be dangling her fancy, huge paychecks in front of you, enticing you to come join her affiliate program, despite what you see online, this is definitely something if you want to create passive income in your business, it will take time and energy on the front end to allow yourself the freedom to be able to create an income without you having to be the one to work to create it. So I think that's something we all want. I think that's something we'd all love more of, right? Because more money doesn't, make you a bad person. It just honestly makes you more of who you are. And the more people usually that you're blessing or impacting can lead, if you're doing it in the right way, to a higher income for you and your family. So that's why we've been chatting about all the money topics. And this is, again, something I want to talk more about in the future. So if you're not already subscribed to this episode or to this podcast or this YouTube channel, definitely go ahead and do that if you like kind of some tough love that's laced with some biblical principles. And yeah, so I know this is a tough conversation, but let's dive in, okay? So now that we've got that set with what's passive income versus active income, and go back and listen to episodes 85 and 86 if you want a little bit more about that, let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is how to know if you should join that other company or start that other business or get into creating a podcast or maybe starting a YouTube channel or creating a course based around some knowledge that you have, right? You're probably seeing other people. Maybe it's me, because I actually am in the process of launching 2 courses myself. I have created both of them. One is called Automate to Replicate, and it's helping you create a DIY version of my exact systems that I use to make sure that my customers are loved and served so that I can create and retain that passive income that I get from sharing a product that I love. And then I also have another course called Replicate Your Results that is all about helping those who have ambitions and a desire to grow their income and impact in their network marketing business, but they've got the people on their team that just don't really seem to be doing it. And they're like, what? How do I do this? How do I get to that point? I feel stuck. Well, both of those courses are something that I am going to be closing at the end of this month. So you've got just a few more days. It's July of 2023. And these prices are definitely lower than they will be when I relaunch them. So you've got just a couple more days. You can go to heatherkburge.com/automate, or you can check out replicateyourresults.com to check out either one or both of those courses. So that little side note is here to say you might be listening to this going, okay, Heather, wow. Okay, so you're creating this additional income stream based on the knowledge and experience and insight that you've learned in network marketing. I'd love to do something like that too. How do I even go about doing that? Well, these are all things that I want to address. But first of all, before I kind of get into the different ways that you can do it, maybe share my experience in some of the facets of doing that, I want to share the 2 reasons, and honestly, I'm going to say maybe the only 2 reasons that you should consider at this point in your business adding an additional revenue stream, okay? So this is where the tough love might come in, because if you're a dreamer like me, you might want to get ahead of yourself. And if you're an entrepreneurial spirit like I am, you've got 1,000,001 ideas and you want to do all of them at once. And I'm here to tell you that a lot of those ideas are dreams that likely have been put on your heart from the Lord. And you can listen to a previous episode that I've done on how to know if it's the Lord's will to start, stop, and grow your network marketing business. If you want to check that out, I'll make sure to link it in the show notes. But essentially, it might not be for you in this season. So an example for me is YouTube. YouTube is something that I have always wanted to be able to do for literally years. Long before I was in network marketing, YouTube is something that I've wanted to tackle. But I know that that was a dream that was from the Lord that wasn't right in those seasons, because starting or creating an additional income stream, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of energy and effort. And there's only so much of you to go around, especially if you are already working a full-time job, or maybe you are already a business owner like I was, or maybe you are a full-time mama and you're busy at home and you can't imagine adding another thing. So if you're a dreamer, this is for you, these 2 tips. So what's kind of crazy, another little quick story, is as I was coming home from my BNI, my Business Networking International meeting, I listened to a podcast with 2 people that I definitely admire, Amy Porterfield and Chalene Johnson. And they were chatting almost about this exact same topic. And I was like, well, all right, listen, this will prep me for this conversation that I've had planned for quite some time. And it was kind of interesting and ironic to hear Chalene. If you don't know her, she is a legend in both the network marketing and online marketing spheres. She spoke at our virtual conference for our company last year. I have a really funny story I'll have to share about that. Maybe not today, but another funny story I'll have to share about that with her speaking. So I was very curious to see what she had to say about adding on an additional revenue stream. And she made it very clear and absolutely reinforced these 2 reasons. So I'll also link that episode if you want to hear Amy Porterfield, and who is a legend in the course creation side of things. Like, she's the best. So if you want to check that out, you can also check out that podcast. So all of these experts agree with me, and especially Chalene says that the way that you can know that it's time to add on an additional stream into your business is, number 1, you already are creating a passive income in your existing business, meaning your business is kind of to the point where it's running itself without you. You can do like I did. You can basically go on vacation for a week or 2 and your business is still going. The income is still growing. I'm actually on track to have one of the biggest months in my business, if not the biggest, actually, by the time this shapes up. And I went on vacation for like 2 weeks of it. Okay. So if your business is at that level, you might be like me, where you're ready. You have the time, the energy, the focus, the experience to be able to create that additional income stream. So that's the one way that you can know that you are there. And again, go back and listen to episodes 85 and 86 to know if you're there. And we'll talk more about that in a second. The second reason on how you can know it's time is if you are not feeling fulfilled or like a deep sense of purpose, or called, if you will, to what you are doing right now. And that's a tough thing to think about, especially if you are like me. That was, for example, my business that I had for over 15 years. I had a boutique and a bridal shop that honestly my identity was wrapped around. And I've done yet another episode that I'll link in the show notes sharing my story of that. But I knew deep in my soul that the Lord had something different in store for me. I just honestly, my belief in myself and probably my faith in Him wasn't quite strong enough at that moment to really know what that looked like until I started taking the action steps to add an additional income stream, which was joining, well, not one, but two different network marketing companies. One did not turn out to be for me. And I did also prayerfully decide to let that business go because it did not feel like that particular comp plan, that company was the right fit for me. So it took a big leap of faith to join the company that I'm with right now in the midst of a crazy busy season in my business. But I'm so grateful that I did because years later, and it did take years, you guys, it took 2 years before I really felt like I was creating that passive income in my business to where it allowed me to step away from the business that I'd been doing for 15 years. Okay. So I say this to say, because I've experienced both of those, where you need to, number one, if you want to add an additional revenue stream, you need to be creating a passive income through your sales. You need to have a business that's running itself in one way, shape, or form, whether that's network marketing or not. Or you need to have that clarity from the Lord that it might be time for something else, okay? Now, the biggest mistake, and you guys, this is something that I see crumble, especially emerging leaders, businesses in network marketing. I see it all the time. In my 6-7 years of business, I can think of almost every leader that hit that top, say 2%, 5% of their business, and then it crumbled. Almost every time it was because of this one mistake. And that was because they saw another leader, like the shiny influencer that maybe, has built 100,000 followers, or another person who has moved or switched her calling to potentially a different company. She thinks that it's going to be a smart decision, or maybe was even told by that person or by that company, if you will, that adding an additional network marketing company onto her existing platform could bring her additional revenue. And you guys, I'm not saying this because sometimes people, and actually a lot of times these influencers will say, someone like myself who has thousands of people on our team or is making great income, again, passive income from the team, they'll say that the reason that we are so against someone on our teams joining another company is because it benefits our paycheck. And I'm here to tell you, and hopefully if you haven't listened to my podcast yet and you haven't learned and heard my heart, that is not the way that I personally feel. I know that my mentors above me that you've met, Sarah Davies, Amanda Ernest, and many others that I've actually talked about and interviewed on this podcast, including Bob Heilig. We've all chatted about this exact same topic on past episodes. But our heart is not for what's in it for us. It's because we know that you have everything in you that it takes to get to the top of the company. And we've seen it time and time and time again that when someone makes the mistake to add in that quote affiliate link and start sharing about that additional product before they've gotten into the facet of their business where they are actually creating that passive income, what happens is people either on their team or on your sideline sister's team or someone from the company is going to see what you're doing. Your customers are going to see that, and it's going to create confusion, and it's going to create a lack of trust for what it is that you're currently doing, okay? So if they see you trying to divide your time and energy, and again, if you're trying to divide your time and energy, there's only so much of you to go around, and you're gonna have those mentors or uplines in both companies that maybe are doing really big things. You're gonna hear those stories. You're gonna have those conferences, those reunions, all of the different opportunities, the trips. Oh my goodness, let's talk about all the trips that people dangle that, I've only been in the company 3 months and I've earned the trip. Okay, these are all amazing things, but I would rather see you create the kind of income that allows you to pay for those trips on your own without having to even second guess yourself. So my heart in this is to help you build your own passive income business in the model that is network marketing. And if you are not at that place in your business yet, but you're trying to follow in the footsteps of someone who is by adding that additional income stream when you're not ready for it yet, it can cause your business, and honestly, both of those, to crumble. And so unless you are looking to make a change in your business. And Amanda Ernest and I had an honest conversation about this because she was with another company and a leader, a top leader. She was like on the company's magazine, I think like the front cover of the magazine of this company when she joined our company. But the reason that she joined our company was because she could feel her heart and her purpose could be better served by pouring her heart into this ring. So she was not trying to do it to bring an additional revenue stream. She was trying to do it to make sure that she could make the biggest impact in a business and with a product that she absolutely was super passionate about. And so when she made that transition here, she went all in. And so that is definitely something that you might see someone join another company and you might see them have great success quickly within that company. And a lot of times it's because they feel called. They feel, especially if they are a believer and they're sharing that faith and you can see that they've made that switch. And it can be really enticing for you to feel like, oh, well, maybe I feel called to that too. And I'm not saying whether that you do or that you don't, but what I am saying is if you feel like you can, if you're content with where you are in your business right now and you're growing, and I'm not talking about like you haven't hit that rank yet, or you're not making the kind of money that you hope to, because it's going to take 5 to 7 years, my friends, in your existing company, on average, I would say, before you start making the kind of passive income. So if you have not been with your company for that long and you haven't been giving it your all in that company for that long, that doesn't mean that you should be discouraged that it's not going to happen for you if you stay the course. So if you have reached that top 5%, that top 2%, and you're like, gosh, I just wish I was where you are in business, Heather, or where your upline is, or where the person that spoke at your conference is in that business. If you're not there yet, I'm going to invite you, if you love your product, if you love your team, if you love the family that you've created, if you have this feeling and get really prayerful about this, that you are where you're meant to be, do not make the mistake of adding that extra income stream, because it will create so much confusion for your customers when they're like, wait, do I buy the makeup or do I buy the collagen? Do I buy the this and do I buy the that? And now, can this be done successfully by people who have created a passive income in their network marketing business, or maybe they've created a passive income from being an online influencer? And we've talked extensively about that on this podcast. And they're about 1% to 2% of people who have that, even the desire or the skills set or the gifts to be able to grow that kind of following that allows that passive income from it. Now, can they put that second affiliate network marketing company link out there on their stories and potentially crush it in sales with that? Yeah, they probably can. And it's still going to be hard for them to build and maintain and create that passive team income, but they're at the point where they can create potentially that passive income from the following, the hard work. Because again, no one builds a massive following or becomes an online influencer overnight. It's not without a ton of consistency, a ton of belief, a ton of hard work. So can that be done where someone who has that kind of following can have success in more than one company? Yeah, it can. But if you're not there yet, I'm here to tell you, it's probably not going to happen for you. It's not. It's going to wind up hurting you because you have not yet built that kind of trust, that relationship, that confidence that comes from the hard work that it takes to build a passive income in one area to be able to do that successfully in another area. So I'm just going to repeat that again before I share my tips on, some ways that maybe you are in that. And you're like, all right, yeah, Heather, I've created a passive income from my network marketing business and I'm ready to take this thing to the next level. Tell me what I can do, okay? Or adding an additional stream. And I'll get to that. But I just want to repeat again that if you are not where you are creating a passive income, so if you haven't been with your company for 5 to 7 years, if you haven't been doing the hard work to get there and the investment on the front end, I'm going to encourage you, do not follow that shiny object syndrome. Do not be lured in. It's just, this is kind of a tricky analogy, but it's like the analogy of the adulterous woman where you've got this like shiny, maybe you're struggling in your marriage a little bit, and you've got this like shiny, hot dude at the gym or whatever that you're like, oh, and you strike up a conversation and you start to feel like, oh, well, maybe I'd be happier over here with this guy. And he starts wooing you because guess what? You're feeling good. You're looking good, right? You're in the gym, all sweaty together. And so he's like, starts buttering you up, right? And starts getting to know you. Maybe you start sharing the frustrations that you've got in your current marriage and that he's like, well, come on over here, girl, right? So that is, I know, kind of a weird analogy, but that's exactly what sometimes happens in network marketing. So we all have frustrations. You guys, this business is not easy. Every company, every corporate structure is going to have hard things that you're going to go through, okay? Just like in a marriage, it's hard. I can say that, okay? And so just because you're going through hard things, just because not everything's perfect and it can look like the grass is greener over at another network marketing company or over with a different mentor at something like that, that's not always the case, okay? Just like in a marriage, sometimes those problems that you have in your current marriage will just follow you right to a new one. Or again, if there's usually an adulterous situation going, if that person's going to do it once, they'll do it again. So it's not built on that trust. So just like with that, if you see maybe your upline is the type that jumps from company to company to company chasing that six-figure check, right? Guess what they're going to do? They're going to leave for that next six-figure check. And I see it happen all the time where the ones that hop to the different companies, it's not because their heart or their passion or their purpose is in that other product. It's almost always because they're chasing the grass is greener rather than pouring what it takes, the hard work, the effort, the fulfilling aspects of this business by serving others and connecting with others right where they are. They're not doing that. And so those same problems are going to follow them to the other company. And guess what? They're going to have the same problems with that company. So guess what they're going to do? They're going to look for the next paycheck and the next shiny thing and the next shiny thing. So if you're a believer, don't do that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't join or switch or move a company, even if you're on my team, okay? Like if you don't feel fulfilled in the business that you are and you feel called to try something new or move it, I encourage you to go all in there, okay? Go all in with that company. Don't try to straddle the line with doing both, okay? It's just, like I said, I've seen it crash and burn so many people so many times, okay? So the second time, again, would be that if you feel like you're being called to something new and different, I can't tell you that. You can listen to that episode if you want to know if the Lord is telling you that, and I can give you some tips on how to get really deep into finding out if you're ready to take something new. But until you're ready, let's not do that, okay, friends? So I'm going to wrap up this episode on sharing just a couple of little maybe opportunities and the kind of short story on what it looks like to potentially add an additional stream if you are there yet, okay? So number one would be coaching. And so that would be like helping other people. You know, maybe you have a podcast or you want to start a podcast like me and you want to make income from the podcast. You guys, I don't make a dime. It's not like, say, even on YouTube where there's automatic ad affiliates, or it's definitely not like Apple or Spotify or anything like that's paying me to do it. So if you have something like a podcast or a blog, the way that you make income from that is almost always from coaching, courses, things like that. Sometimes advertising, sometimes affiliate revenue, but it's usually like a very, very small percentage. Okay. So if you're looking to create that income, I would say that could be, that could be for you. What's actually kind of cool, and this literally just came to me because I realized I just got this email that one of the reasons and the catalyst behind the creation of this podcast was I partnered with someone named Steph Gass, who worked me through the process of setting up my podcast. She created something called Podcast to Profit, which is essentially a group coaching course. Really, it's a group coaching program where for 6 months, she walks you through exactly how to create income from starting a podcast, from growing a podcast, and the ways that you can do that. And I have to say, one of the best facets of it, and definitely the biggest blessing from that, was she also puts you in what she calls pods. I guess that's what she still calls them. Pods is what she called it then, with people who are right where you are in your podcasting journey. So some of them are just getting started. I was in a pod that had a little bit of, an existing kind of following already. And you guys, some of the girls that I've met, and you've met some of them on this podcast, and you probably will in the future, are now some of my closest friends in business. And I got to attend a conference with one of my girls, Kaysen, from Her Pursuit podcast. You guys, that is such a good podcast if you're a believer and you want to dive deeper in your faith. But anyway, it came from this Podcast to Profit coaching session. So I'll make sure to drop that link to learn more about that if you are interested in learning about podcasting and how to make money from that, because she talks about it way better than I can. And I can definitely say that it was a great experience for me in getting that foundation of like how and what to do. Okay. So that's if you want to start a podcast, you want to get into coaching courses. Same thing kind of goes for like a blog or a vlog, maybe something like YouTube. That all kind of comes together. And then speaking of YouTube, this is something that is pretty cool and something that I'm definitely working towards myself with my YouTube channel is YouTube, unlike having a podcast, does have an opportunity for you to create monetized income through ad revenue that they pass your way once you've reached 1,000 subscribers or you have a certain number of watch hours, which, to be honest, I can't even remember what that number of watch hours is. And so I have been consistently posting a video a week, at least one video, honestly, with the podcast. It's now 2 videos a week since January on there, and I'm not yet halfway there. And so it's my goal to do it in a year because, again, I'm trying to put the energy, effort, hard work, learn along the way on the front end to then be able to create and generate that additional income stream on the back end while I am growing my own personal business and I'm serving my team on that very same YouTube channel. So that's one of the things. And when I think about this third aspect of growing your business, and I think I touched on this in that episode 85, I call it the we aspect of your business. Because if you're able to create an additional income stream that serves not only your personal business, but it serves your team, and it brings an additional income stream like something like ad revenue or monetization from a YouTube channel, that's pretty cool. And so that's where like this podcast and the courses and the coaching and all of those things that not coaching is not something that I intend to get into because that's something that I do reserve for those who are on my team within network marketing or within my business. Is I kind of reserve that coaching for that because there's only so much of me to go around, and that coaching can sometimes be trading your time for dollars because you've got that your time is worth a certain value. And you always want to keep that in mind if you're doing coaching, okay? But YouTube is a really cool way. But you're going to have to, again, put the time and the energy and the effort on the front end in order to generate that passive income on the back end, okay? And then finally, the other way to create passive income is through that affiliate revenue. So that is where I'm seeing in an industry kind of wide where some companies are adopting that kind of affiliate structure. Some of them are legit, some of them aren't, like meaning some people are marketing a traditional network marketing business where if you want to create that passive long-term income, it's, going to be from building a team or convincing people to buy inventory and things like that. Some companies are structured that way. Some do have truly just a way that you can share your link and get paid. And it's for people who have no interest in creating that passive income from other people doing the work. They're willing to put in the time and effort to build their own following, to be able to sell a ton of personal product, because usually affiliate companies usually have a much smaller percentage than someone that's in traditional network marketing from the personal commission-based side of your business, okay? But other options outside of network marketing would be things like Amazon affiliates or Like to Know It. Or you can become an affiliate for the things that you use and love, like Flowdesk or Project Broadcast, or again, Descript is what I use to do my podcast. And so you may see some affiliate things even in my show notes or in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. And so those are things that you can make a very, very small percentage. It's usually just like a couple percentages, and it doesn't amount to much. So even for me, consistently putting out the podcast and talking about this kind of stuff with you guys, it's like literally less than $100 or something that I generate from that kind of stuff. It's definitely something that if you've got, again, a huge following wherever you are, you can potentially make great money from affiliates, but it's going to be a little bit less passive because it's going to be tied to your own active content creation, your own active sharing about that, because if you don't talk about the link, they're not going to click the link, right? Just keep that in mind that I would say that's not one that's usually a passive income opportunity as much as it is if you're okay with creating an active income through being an online influencer. That's where affiliate marketing comes in. But just know that if you do choose to do that, so I did choose to do that with a company called Launch back in the day, and it did not feel right to me. I was making, gosh, what was it? I wish I could remember. It was something like $50,000 or something like that. Might even been more. I don't even remember in that year that I was able to add as an additional revenue stream. But it created so much confusion from my team and from other people because they would join another network marketing company as an affiliate program and they would say, well, Launch is the same. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like I couldn't sign you up if I wanted to be a Launch affiliate for me or for the company or for anything like that. It was also a very small percentage. So guess what? I had to put content out there that was based in creating a huge following, which is not what I'm about. You guys have heard me talk about that it's all about the connection. That's what fulfills me, is being able to create an impactful relationship that with one person that can scale to another person and so on and so forth. I'm more about the value over the volume. So it just didn't align for that reasons. It did not align with me personally in that season. So I let that go and decided to put that same energy, effort, and passion back into the business that I was already building, my Saint business, and that paid off big time, far beyond. I guarantee you that the energy and effort that I put into my Saint business has far exceeded that $50,000 that I made in that entire year. Like, that's the type of thing that now I'll be making in a monthly situation because I shifted my focus and energy right where I know that I can make the biggest income and impact, if that makes sense. So be careful with affiliates, but I think it's something that, is smart to just know from the education standpoint of how it works. So, all right, guys, I promised you a short episode. I, of course, as always, have talked a good bit, but this is clearly something that I'm very, very passionate about. I think it's something that's important to be talked about. So I hope that you've enjoyed this episode, and definitely make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share this, screenshot this on social media, share with your team if you want to. This is definitely something that I hope can create clarity on where you are in your business in terms of building an income and an impact, okay? So also don't forget, you can check out both of my courses before I close them at the end of July. So just again, you've got like 2 days or something by the time this airs, and you can go to replicateyourresults.com to learn more about how you can grow your income and impact without your own effort, basically. Or you can check out my Automate to Replicate system to set up customer service automations to build a passive income from your personal business. So thank you guys for listening today. I hope you enjoyed this episode or this video, and I hope you have a beautiful week. Yay!